This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, just another voice in the wilderness. Today I'm going to talk about does mom and pop market economy is real capitalism? Sure, that people, the owners of the small shops and businesses and small farms and all those initiatives, those market initiatives have they operate within the parameters of the pursuit of self-interest, search for profit, and wealth accumulation, and all the rest that goes with private property ownership. Okay, that's true. In that sense, we can say it is capitalism, but but that's not capitalism, because I think capitalism needs to be understood as a monopoly system, as a system where a few private corporations, banks, and other types of firms control not only the economy, but control the institutions that the institutions that are the state, which means politics, which means they control what we call the separation of powers, that is supposed to separate independently executive, legislative, and judiciary. Behind the scenes, they are controlled by capitalists. You can call them oligarchs, plutocrats, or whatever, billionaires. That's the real point where many working class people that are exploited in a daily basis. And by working class people, I include the people that own small businesses, that go out and have stalls, they try to small restaurants, that have to work hard to make ends meet, to pay taxes, to pay fees, to pay interest to private banks of money that is created with a few strokes in a keyboard. Not money that didn't exist before. It is necessary that you go into that for them to create new money. They don't give you already existing money. They give you credit. So capitalism is a system of that favors, that is set up to favor those that have the psychological, the behavioral traits to not care. I mean, the anti-social, anti-human behavior traits to not care at all about what they have to do in order to accumulate as much as possible, to control, to concentrate as more power as possible, is to control as much as possible resources, people, institutions, governments, you name it. This is what capitalism is. You can have a market economy. That's why I have doubts about the Chinese model. I don't know. I really don't know. I hope that it works well in the end. But I don't know. I don't know. Because a market economy, it's true. You can have a market economy and you can have profits. I mean, you can call it capitalism, but that capitalism, you have to understand that in every country, and the bigger the country, the more important it is, which is you need to have the heavy industry, okay? You cannot have mom and pop heavy industry. You need to have heavy industry with big facilities that is either controlled by the government or controlled by private corporations. We could have a third way, which would be cooperatives, okay? And that would be a market economy without controlled by the state or controlled by cooperatives, which means by the people, with the objective, the goal to provide for the nation, to protect the economic sovereignty of the country, not for private profit accumulation. Okay? This is so crucial to understand that if you have the banking system, the financial system, the real estate sector, which they call like Michael Hudson, I totally agree with that man. Is amazing. What he calls the FIRE sector: finance, insurance, and real estate. Rentism or rentierism, I don't know which word is better. Financial parasitism and speculation. That's nothing there to provide for society. It's all about rent seeking. Making they don't even care about building new, nothing new. It's about speculating on already existing assets, making the price go up and up and up. And who pays? Who loses their houses? Some in the middle class are going to or middle upper class are going to profit out of it, because they might have assets that allows them to accumulate some wealth. But the rest of the population just are losers. Okay? And that's why, like people like Peter Thiel says, competition is for losers. Yes, because capitalists, the people that praise capitalism, they search for only one thing, which is monopoly and cartelism. So this romanticized idea of a society based on mom and pop shop, that's not the economy. Don't get me wrong, it's the economy, But that is most of it is in the service sector. But the service sector can only exist if there is a productive sector, if there are factories. Okay? And in the case of the heavy industry, you need big facilities. And if you are controlled by private sector, they become bigger and bigger and bigger. And when the economy becomes financialized, okay, these people they do what they have to do. They close the business and they move it to countries more favorable for their businesses, to increase their profits for the shareholders. Okay, so this is, and then you know what happened with the retail sector in America, in Europe, and elsewhere? Where are the mom and pop so supposedly capitalist system? It doesn't exist. It's gone. Why? Why? Because capitalism is working as it is supposed to. That's why you have a few companies in every sector: media, infotainment, I mean, you name it, controlling the market, trying to control everything and set the prices, and they don't care for those who cannot afford to pay. As it happens with food, with medicine, with everything that is all the services and all the goods that are essential for a human being to survive, to have a decent life, to have dignity. And they call you loser because you are not capitalist enough. You know, because capitalism, for sure, the raw rules of capitalism are applied for mom and pop capitalists. Okay? Not for those who don't care at all about those little brothers that are disappearing, and people still have this, you know, oh no, because this is what we have now. It's not. I mean, this is so bad that people that are exploited, their little business are being destroyed, their livelihoods are being destroyed, and at the same time they say, oh, what we have now, it's not capitalism. Oh yeah, that's not capitalism. You just wait for it, because the last stage of capitalism, it's imperialism, that's true, but it's also fascism. And we are paving the way towards techno-fascism. And they don't care even at all. They will find ways to kill those of us. I mean, some will be in a slow pace. Many people are just killed because they cannot afford housing or proper food or health care or any form of true social interaction. I mean, many of us cannot. The society, this extreme capitalistic societies, they are destroying even the possibility of us to develop sane relationships that do not have to go through commodification and um, convenience. Okay, what doesn't go through these two parameters? I mean, we are so. It's not only propagandized, because propaganda is one thing, instrumentalization is another thing. Instrumentalization is the weaponization of values, of concepts, of ideas, and then transform. And then we are from the inside, deep in our minds. That's where the instrumentalization works. That's how our minds are colonized. And then we perceive the world around us. We build our relationships. We build all our perception, our self-perception and everything else based on that. And we believe it just, so shallow. So disconnected from our humanity. And then we believe that, okay, this is not capitalism. What is it then? We can call it corporatism. We can call it I don't know. If you are working class, if you own a little shop, if it's harder and harder for you to pay your bills, to feed your children, to have a life that is not permanently, that you are not in a permanent anxious state, that in front of you is only uncertainty, in a world where is plenty of food, you can build houses so easily, you can provide the basic services to everybody without, and then we don't do it. While you see what's going on now, right now that I'm sitting here in this rock talking to a mobile phone, what is going on in the world? Why do we have, isn't it capitalism what's going on in Iran? What is it? What does people want? We can discuss it Zionism, Christian Zionism, all these things. But in the end, if you truly want to understand, you have to understand it through the lenses of monopoly capitalism. The destruction of Iraq, of Libya, and all the interventions, coup d'etat, regime change operations done by the CIA and Pentagon and NATO and all this, it has always been for the promotion, for the reinforcement, for the for the hegemony of monopolist capitalism. That's what empire wants. That's what empire are for. Nothing is there to promote mom and pop market economy. Stop calling it capitalism. It has some features of capitalism, but it is not capitalism. That's the difference. That's why we need to look for the details and for the nuances, not just to buy into and say these kind of things and believe it. Oh, what we don't have is capitalism. Yes. So if you are working class, if you are a little owner of a family business, if you are in debt, even if you are middle class, that you are doing nice, you don't have problems, but you have to pay your mortgage, and you can lose the job, and you believe that private corporations, private banking, a rapacious financial system, destroying the real economy and the fabric of society, they are your friends? The tech bros are your friends? Just because they deliver services that because they buy, because they make us addicted to convenience. We lose. Convenience is one of the keys to weaken us. And if you believe this, that this is better like this, because they compete with each other for market share, and therefore the prices go down. Yes, that's true. That's what they are doing right now. Price gouging is communist propaganda. Okay, yeah, yes. I mean, stop blaming the state. What we need, stop. I mean, you cannot stop. Do your homework to overcome the dominant narratives in your subconscious mind, full of prejudices and biases and lies against the so-called radical left. I mean, I'm not talking about the center left. I'm talking about the anti-imperialist and anti-capitalist left. Because once upon a time, the anti-capitalist left, the anti-capitalist left and the Soviet bloc, that what made your parents or the people that are about my age or older than me to have the middle class life, the so-called American dream, and the social democracy, the European social democracy that the Americans like to ridicule, stupidly, of course, as if they have their lives are better and easier. because we intellectually and socially and culturally and politically, we owe more than we believe to the radical left, to the communists, to the socialists. Then we should be appreciative, not 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 engage in this hate, in this dehumanization and demonization of the people that gave their lives for the common good. It's not because I'm not saying that what I want to have is the I mean because this is so stupid when people engage when we engage in shallow discussions and arguments without context, without understanding history. We then have this kind of uh, stances like what do you want? You want would you like to live in the Soviet Union or in North Korea? Blah blah. Why don't you go to North Korea? I mean, this is what it is. What can they do in North Korea? What can they do in Cuba when the most powerful nation that emerged from in the end of the Second World War was the biggest economy of the world? They were 4% of the population or 5% of the population. The United States was 4 or 5% of the population, I think. And the economic output was 50%. The financial system established, the dollar-based financial system, was favorable to them. They were by far. We cannot compare the Soviet Union that was destroyed. We cannot compare any other country with the power and influence and the ability to build an international global system to praise capitalism. Because to me, the most powerful weapon that has been used by Americans was the cultural imperialism. All the things that we bought into people of my age and younger, all around the world. That's why people are Americanized. You can go to. I have been in China quite long ago, 20 years ago, for quite some time. I've been there. I don't remember exactly how much, but in total, probably 2 months, 3. I'm not sure about that. But I've been. I went there and for different places, not just to Shanghai and Beijing. And I could see the Americanization of the society, the cultural Americanization of the society, the consumer mentality, the praise for the luxury items, for the brands. This is a form of colonization, of mind colonization, that cages people in dreams and in expectations that are unrealistic and just make us praise capitalism and make us all slaves of capitalism within a capitalist mentality. So I think it's time for Americans and Europeans, and in Europe, they are trying to ban the communist parties. They are doing it. Why? You know, the communists have always been those in the forefront of the anti fascist, anti imperialist, anti colonialist resistance. The reason they hate communists is not because communism fails or communism is a godless system or this. It's because they know that communists are very organized, are probably the in the left. They are the ones that are able to unite and organize in a better way, and they can become a threat. That's why they are so demonized. If you believe they are demonized because the system doesn't work, because capitalism is godless, because this, because that, no, 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 no. It's because communists are not like this center left that is they're pro-capitalists. That we have to put it this way. So that's why they don't want you to think, to frame. They don't want you to frame reality. They don't want. I mean, when I mean you, I mean us. To frame reality in a Marxist way, or in the perspective that if the state, why do we need a state and the government? Because complex societies need these institutions. We have so complex societies with so many levels of levels and sectors, and that's how could you organize it without the state, without the laws, without without everything. The problem is not the state, and the problem is not the government. The problem is who controls it. And again, by blaming the state and the government, it just deflects. Then you blame the state and the government, you don't blame the people that are controlling, directly or indirectly, the state and the government that are screwing you, that are leaving you behind, that are throwing us under the bus without any regret, because they don't care about us. The class, you have to understand that the political class is groomed, is selected. Like in America, it's a duopoly. It's just they have some differences. Most of the differences are cultural. You know, it's like of a more cosmopolitan side against a more conservative side. That's what's the difference. It's not left versus right. Is right is a more conservative right against a more cosmopolitan right. Okay, so I mean, because at this stage of monopoly capitalism, Americans and Europeans, but especially Americans, who could be the ones if they were not so delusional and so propagandized and so weaponized and instrumentalized what is MAGA could never is such an empty slogan, and nonetheless people buy into it, because those who could stop this madness that is happening right now in Iran, in the Middle East, in Ukraine, and elsewhere, in Latin America. This madness should be stopped by Americans. Of course, not by voting for the next, not for voting for Democrats. I don't care. I mean, do you remember Bernie Sanders? I mean, do you remember my friend Joe Biden? Yeah, you know. I mean, Bernie Sanders in the end was just controlled opposition. That's what it, what Joe, what you, I mean, is, you cannot be, this is not the people. They don't want systemic change. And America needs systemic change. I don't know. The thing is, even if you keep capitalism, okay, you don't, even if you don't get rid of capitalism in America and also in Europe, you need a strong movement, a strong coalition, a political party, but not just the problem with people, that another problem with people is leaders, is saviors, is heroes, is authorities. No. The power needs to be in the grassroots. And why? Because leaders can be killed, as they have done in the past. They killed the leaders and the movements just kaput. No. Leaders, you can see in Iran, how many leaders have they killed already? Leaders can be replaced. It's about the movement. It's about the idea. It's about the concept for a society and an economy and a civilization and an international order that we need to think about, to discuss it. And this needs to be done. This cannot only be done if people do understand what capitalism is, not what we imagine. These myths of mom and pop capitalism. Because that's not what capitalism is about. It's about monopolies. It's about a few psychopaths, megalomaniacal psychopaths, narcissistic psychopaths controlling the system, controlling who makes the laws. It's the law firms. It's the professional managerial class. It's academia. It's the media. It's the public relations industrial complex, the non-government industrial complex. So, and you, I mean us, expect that these billionaires, or if not billionaires associated with them, or groomed by them. Just think about what is the name of the guy, Vance, Mike. No, I mean, I don't remember the first name of the guy that was groomed by Peter Thiel. I mean, these people is disgusting. How can you, that belong to the working class, your life is harder, and the life of your kids, your children, is going to be harder and harder, and you just believe that more capitalism, more capitalism, more techno-fascism, and techno-fascism will free you. Don't buy also into the myths of the libertarian right, the anarcho-capitalists. They are even worse. I mean, they might be against the war, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. I will side with them in that matter. But what they purpose for a society is just a myth. You need government, and we need a state. What we need is participatory democracy and participatory economics. We need to have agency. And that's what we need to fight for, and organize and unite. And stop these divisions based on cultural issues. I mean, because, I can understand people that is pro-vaccines and against vaccines. I can side with both. Why? Because I know that we all have flaws, intellectual flaws. And not only flaws, we cannot, it's impossible that we have control all the variables. So the truth comes from inputs from many parts. And it's the same with the cultural issues. What the problem is that we allow ourselves to be weaponized. The leaders, the people that want us divided, they weaponize the values. They weaponize the principles. They weaponize all the questions. And then they use that weaponization to instrumentalize us against each other. And we buy into it. That's why people are so rabidly anti-communist when they don't even know what communism is. When they have in their countries for decades capitalism for the poor and for the mom and pop so-called capitalists, and socialism for the rich. Not only in 2008. There is no such thing as too big to fail. If it's too big to fail, it's too big to exist. That is the truth. Otherwise, you end up always siding and fighting for those that are screwing you over and over, generation after generation. And it's getting worse because in this phase of the Western Anglo-American imperialism, things are going to get really ugly. And it should be us to organize and unite against not the supposed enemies. Iran is not your enemy. Russia is not your enemy. Your enemies are in Washington and Brussels. and Wall Street and the city of London and Virginia, Langley, Virginia, and the tech bros and all the rest, okay? They are your enemies, our enemies. Because the same way they will brand us, they will ban us from accessing our banking accounts. They will call us terrorists. They will go after us. For them, we are cattle, useful idiots, cannon fodder, and expendable, disposable peons. That's what we are. So please stop believing in this myth of the mom that this is not capitalism. Capitalism was when there is mom and pop ownership and blah blah blah. They will allow those who control the system, they will allow the existence of mom and pop shops when it is convenient for them. Because if we fight back hard enough and organized enough, they will retract. You know that? They are cowards, most of them. They are megalomaniacal psychopaths, but they are cowards. And if we fight back in an organized way, they will retract. But they are relentless. They are vicious. That's why this system, any system, if you want to understand reality, you need to understand systems and processes. Things is not about things. It's not about conquer something. It's about creating a culture and a civilization and an economic system and a political system that is built with an immune system against this kind of antisocial, this sociopathic and psychopathic and narcissistic and megalomaniacal and opportunistic people to take over the system. Because, as Frederick Bastiat said, when a group of men, let me see if I can put it together, when a group of men get together, something like that, through the course of time, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in society, through the course of time, they will create a legal system to authorize them and a moral code to glorify them. Frederick Bastiat. So this is if we think that we can have a system, that we create a system and that's it, no. The fight is permanent, because there will be always a next generation of people that since they lack those basic conditions of a social species, which is empathy and compassion and cooperation and reciprocity, if they lack these, they will not care at all, but their own they will follow their megalomaniacal ideas, and projects. The history is full of these examples. So we cannot sleep under our laurels. We have this kind of saying in Portugal that you cannot just get the reward and just go to sleep. Okay. This is my message for today. Thanks for listening. I will be back soon.